just we talked about before the game, the defensive mindset start the game. You give up 43 points in the first quarter. It's hard to dig out of that hole. And so 43 in the first quarter, 35 in the second quarter. Defensively, our mindset wasn't right. Offensively, same thing. Having 8 turnovers in the first quarter. Not playing with space, not understanding what we're looking for, and then we're not organized. So I take responsibility for that. But like I said, defensively we weren't ready to play, and then offensively as well. Just not taking care of the basketball, not knowing what we want to do, not owning our space, and so we'll have those guys playing hard. They cut hard, they play hard. They know what they're running, they know what they're looking for, and so they kicked our butt tonight.
I think they made the first 19 shots in the paint. Like you're not a they're a big team. You're not exactly a small team. Like how exactly does that happen? That where they're getting to the paint and converting pretty much perfectly through the first two
Yeah,
and a half
just
quarters of the game.
they run some good stuff, and then not executing our game plan, what we're supposed to do, paying attention to detail, and they took full advantage of it.
You mentioned the turnovers, not being organized offensively. This is a team they struggled. I don't want to keep going back to last year, but live ball turnovers were a struggle for
Mhm.
them. And you've emphasized, James has emphasized not having those kind of turnovers. They had 11 steals tonight out of your 15. It's good that you didn't have a lot of dead ball turnovers, but why do you feel like they were able to be as aggressive against your offense today?
Well, we talked about it for the last 3 days, just executing side of bounds, knowing that they're going to try to deny and pressure us and not let us get the ball in. I think we had 3 turnovers in that area, and then we should have 5 or 6 because we got lucky, getting the pass through. And so, just understanding what we're trying to do, understand what teams are trying to take away from us. We understand when teams blitz, what we're supposed to do, our spacing, and we just didn't take full advantage of everything we need to do.
A couple of years ago, early in the season, you guys lost by 50 to Dallas at home, and you guys ended up making the conference finals that year. So obviously,
Yeah,
like
that was my first year. Yeah.
one game obviously doesn't tell the story of what a season can be, but can you look at a game like this and like how much do you take out of a game where the first half it went so poorly that you know
No, I just think a lesson to be learned. Like we gotta be ready to play, and so, like I say, Will runs a lot of great stuff. They execute. They run it hard. They do it hard, and we wasn't ready for their speed, their pace, their cuts. We didn't handle it very well, and so they was able to execute at a high level, versus our defense, which I think is really good. But the movement, the cuts, the flares, the slips, put a lot of pressure on our defense, and we weren't ready for it.
how do you feel Brad did for his first time kind of in there with Kawhi and James?
I thought he did well. We just gotta, figure out. We gotta use him. I gotta use him better. We gotta call plays for him. Get the ball in his hands a little bit more. But I thought overall he was okay.
Are there ways where Kawhi can, I'm just going to say that, just be more ready to play? It felt like Larry was overwhelming him physically. It looked like Larry beat him to spots consistently. Like what did you see from Kawhi to begin this game, and how can he, bounce back from that?
No, I gotta take a look at it. I'm not quite sure, about that, but like it's my job to keep Kawhi engaged in the game offensively because, like I said, he is our best player, and only having 9 shots, I think only having 4 at halftime, that's not good enough. So that's what I'm talking about, just as far as just organization, getting to our spots, understand what we're trying to run, and we got to do a better job of that. So I'll take responsibility.
How do you make sure this doesn't roll over into Friday?
As far as what?
Just the taste of a game like this because things in
Well,
this
I
league
mean,
can
just
snowball.
looking at rotations, but if our first unit can't get off to better defensive starts, subs would be made faster. We just try to play 5-and-5 and just try to, how we've been playing in the preseason. But it's a learning experience to just kind of see what our team is, what we're made of, and then if I got to make early subs from here on out, then that's what we got to do.
What was your level of satisfaction with that second unit going 5 in, and what did you see from them together tonight and individually those backups?
It wasn't a great start. I didn't think in that first half, but second half I thought he was a lot better. But we just got to understand, like I said, what we're running, spacing, timing, where we're supposed to be, and in practice we do it well. But when teams are denying you and pressuring you, that's when you got to be able to think and execute at a higher level. And so we just got to get better with that.
Walker was a very big difference maker for them down low and even spacing early on. Kind of what prom did he present for you guys?
he's an improved passer. I think making some really good passes. I think when Zoo goes to help or Brook goes to help, just how big he is around the rim. He can finish offensive rebounds, and so it puts you in a tough position.